Hey guys, Dr. Henry Cloud here. You're listening to a rebroadcast of the Dr. Cloud Show, which is my live radio program that you can find on youtube.com/Dr. Henry Cloud or facebook.com/Dr. Henry Cloud if you want to listen live or even call in. Let's take a listen. This is Dr. Cloud Show, and I'm glad you have joined. Once again, your roving reporter. I'm still out on the road. This for a few days there, because I got to tell you, I had some major fun in returning to my roots, not geographically, but it's been a few days pheasant hunting and walleye fishing, and oh my gosh, you got to get outside. When you live in a city like I do, you just got to get out into the open spaces. And anyway, so I'm pretty refreshed, and pheasant are really good. You guys got to go get some. Anyway, it was a fun time, but I'm back here with you now, and it is going to be a good day because we're going to get to talk to our callers, which we always do. And we do, I tell you guys this all the time. We have the best callers in the world because we have the best audience in the world because you guys are fighting dysfunction out there, one dynamic at a time, building herd immunity against craziness. And that's what we do here. And to do that, you got to call me. 844-940-2774, 844-940. Let me see how this works here. 2774 is the number to get on the program. So let me hear from you. 844-940-2774. And call me with your questions. And if you're new to the program, you can find it on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, or download it as a podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I started to say wherever they are sold, but they are free. So you can do it when you work out and when you run around, stuff like that. So there we go. 844-940-2774. One quick last almost minute announcement. We have the big webinar coming up tomorrow, The Art of Confrontation. If you got somebody in your life that is causing you some distress by their irresponsibility or by their toxicity or by their just hurtful stuff, this webinar is for you when you haven't known quite how to have that conversation, or you've had it and it hasn't helped. Also, if there's somebody that you're trying to help that they're not really hurting you, but you're worried about them and you need to talk to them about changing some patterns. That's what people who love each other do. We talk to each other when sometimes we're not listening to reality. We need our friends and loved ones to tell us how to have that conversation. Is going to be what we talk about. And then in normal, just conflict. We all have conflict. If you are alive and you are breathing, you have conflict because you're taking up space with other people that you love. And as the Bible says, one of my favorite verses, iron sharpens iron, and how they do that is bump up against each other. And that's not a bad thing, but we got to know how to do it. Remember when my girls used to argue when they were, 5 and 6 years old, 6 and 7, and they would come to me, she did this, she did that. I'd tell them, well, you can bring your case to daddy court, but the loser pays court fees. And it's going to cost you. And they said, what does that mean? I said, well, when I'm going to listen to both of you, and you said it's her fault, she says it's your fault, I'm going to make a decision. One of you is going to lose, probably, and you have to pay for the judge's time. And here's what it's going to cost you. And they might have to lose a toy to pay for that, or, something out of their piggy bank or something. And when I told them that loser pays court fees, they literally, is this not human nature? Literally, they're like 7 years old. They instantly, in the middle of this fight, they turned to each other and they turned back to me and said, that's okay, Dad, we'll figure it out. And they ran off. It's just a part of life, having conflict, but we got to have the skills to be able to do it. So that is it. And the reason I say last minute is this webinar is tomorrow. We've been talking about it a while. It is coming up tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So go to boundaries.me/confront to sign up for it. And if you can't watch it live, sign up for it. But if you can't watch it live, you can stream it afterwards as many times as you want. Invite a group over to your house. You can do that just with one registration. If you want to all pitch in and do it together, have a great time. I'm going to give you some downloadable materials or reviewable materials. I don't know exactly how that works. Sort of like a worksheet, workbook. Work through this over even having a small study around it. So go to boundaries.me/confront to sign up for this webinar. It's coming up tomorrow, 5 o'clock. All righty. Let me see. Also, you can stream the recording. They're reminding me to tell you, you can stream it, for a long time, over and over and over again, over and over and over. Okay, now I am getting a message that I do not understand about 48 hours. I thought that was in perpetuity, but let me check on this because I don't want to misinform you guys. The stream becomes available 48 hours of the event after the event. You can stream it for more than 48 hours. Now I got it right. Forever after, as long as everything is working. Okay, guys, that's it. We are going to move in now to the thought of the day. And this comes from, it comes from, it's just what's true, but what made me talk about it right now is a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to somebody, and it reminded me of this, and I put it down to talk to you guys about. I was talking to somebody, young man, and he was in his mid-20s, and his parents had gone through a lot. His father was pretty good at working it out with him. And, this is a young man that's very successful. He went through, was he almost through medical school and, he's going out there and attacking life. But the way his mother had handled stuff, very, very hurtfully, and a lot of manipulation, a lot of stuff, he just said, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And he walked away and is very, very angry and resentful and has been that way for a little while. Totally understandable if you knew what she did. But he asked me, he said, I told her, I don't want to have anything to do with her. And, we talked about that. And I said, well, there's a couple of things that might be getting confused here, 2 or 3 or 4. One of them is, given all that you've said, this isn't true in all cases, but it's true in a lot of cases. So given all you've said, I really do agree with you that you really need some time to quarantine yourself away from her because she's still doing active, kind of BS is the clinical term. And I said, you just can't, you're not going to be able to heal and go through all this and all of that as long as, she's still kind of hurting you in a way. It's really hard to, it's hard to do surgery when you're, getting shot at, right? Still. I said, but let me tell you something. You have said you'll never have anything to do with her. You'll never talk to her again, all that. I don't know what would be good in the future. But here's what I do know. You feel like if you get away from her, that you have solved the problem of mom. Never see her again. It's over. I'm done. Well, let me tell you something. That's not how it works, baby. That is just not how it works. Because we do not have a relationship, and please hear this, we do not have a relationship just with an external person, ever. We have a relationship with that person's internal representation in our head and our heart and our attachment to them internally. So you can go away from her, but the way God has designed the universe, we carry people in our hearts. That's why a baby can grow up to be 3 years old and stop screaming and go play in the backyard all alone when they couldn't do that as infants. Why? Because now mommy lives on the inside and they go in the backyard and they got mommy on the inside. You've got your loved ones on the inside. You go to work, you put their pictures up in cubicles and you're stressed and you look at those pictures and you feel your love and you go, you know what just happened in that meeting's not that big a deal because I know that she loves me or he loves me or they love me and I love them. And you can feel that. You know why? Because your attachment is on the inside of you. Now, you can run away from that person, but you still have them on the inside. Now, here's the question. They will always be on the inside. Think about that. You're not going to get exorcised. Okay? This isn't a demon. This is an attachment. So, I said to him, the external mom that's abusive to you, we'll deal with her. All right. Don't worry about that. You may have to have firm boundaries where you do not talk to her if she's still behaving in a certain way for life. I don't know. That's up to her. You set the boundary, then she gets to decide if she wants to play by the rules or not. But that's not your problem, Bubba. Your problem is the mother lives on the inside. So here's what I want you to look at. There are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or however many problems you got with the mother on the inside. Right now, your connection with her is one of anger and one of hatred and one of resentment, right? It is also one of hurt, wounds. She has hurt you. And by getting away from her physically, you're still being wounded inside until you deal with that. You're walking around with it until you deal with it like a pus wound. There's woundedness and there's anger. And let's talk about each one of those, because here's the ultimate goal. You're going to relate to the external mother mostly dependent on her behavior. All right. She plays by the rules, you might have a relationship with her again. If she doesn't, you might have to protect yourself and your kids and all that. That's not who I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, and here's the big deal, what is your relationship to the mother that lives on the inside? So we got to resolve that one. Now, you got 2 areas that I want you to look at. One is she has hurt you, and one is she has certainly the hurt, but there's a crime here. That's why you're angry. She's done something bad to you. Now, God has designed a system for us to deal with both of those in the same way that he did when we hurt him. Okay? Now, let's talk about the woundedness first. You got a mother inside of you. And every time something reminds you, you think of her and you're reminded of it, or that pus wound is still there. I want you to go use God's ways of changing your relationship inside with that mother inside from this is the mother who it hurts with. Notice I use present tense because you carry that with you. I want you to change that to this is the mother that I was hurt by and am now healed of. And she doesn't have that power anymore. That has been put into the past. But we don't put something in the past by denying it. We put something in the past by healing it. I got a total knee replacement last summer. Okay. Now I walk around and I have no pain in my left knee for first time in many, many years. But that's a memory, okay? But I had to go through the healing to get there. When I wasn't going through the healing, I was still walking around in pain. So what you got to do, and I told him, is you got to sit down with somebody that understands woundedness and trauma, and you got to talk through it. And son, you're going to have to cry because she hurt you. She hurt you bad. And we don't get hurt without carrying pain. If you notice, you got some tear ducts up there, and that's God's way of getting this out, but you're not going to do it by yourself on a stump or riding in a car with headphones on. You're going to do it by sitting down with somebody who understands how to draw that pain out and help you grieve it and heal it. And then you're going to have an internal relationship with the mother who used to treat you badly and hurt you, but now you're healed from. And so she no longer has power over you. It's healed. Okay? Now that's the wounded side. Let's go over to the anger side, because son, you are angry. And you know what? You should be angry. That's righteous anger. A lot of times you'll hear these people, oh my gosh. Or righteous, the only righteous anger is when you're defending God and standing up for God. Oh, that sounds so spiritual, doesn't it? No, God has wired into every human being a sense of justice. And when you are violated, you get angry because righteousness has been violated. Whether it's at God or at you or at somebody else, there's a part of us that screams at injustice. This isn't right. And what she did to you was not right. And it wasn't good. And I'm sure there are reasons for it. And we're going to understand those. And that's going to help us forgive in addition with a bunch of other stuff. But it wasn't right, Joey. And to be angry is right. The Bible says that. Be angry, it says. But then it says, but in your anger, do not sin. And do not take revenge, because that's up to God. But you got to name it as bad, because if you don't name it as bad, that badness is going to come back and hit you, and you're going to feel not good enough. What did I do to deserve this? I'm no good. I'm not lovable. All of that. No. You are an innocent, and we're an innocent child here. And she did you wrong, and it is okay to be angry and feel that. And express it, not necessarily to her, but get it out. Because what we're doing is you are changing your relationship with that abuser inside of you. And you're getting the badness over on the right side of the tennis court where it belongs. It doesn't belong in your soul. It belongs in her lap. Okay? Now here's a clue, and I want you to hear this. Don't stay that way forever. Don't stay that way forever. You got a pus wound, you got a splinter, it gets infected, bleed it out, drain it. It hurts. Get it out. But after you've had sufficient time to get it out, don't hold on to it and keep squeezing it forever and being angry forever, because it will never heal. So we got to be angry. And in your anger, don't sin. Don't take it out on her. Don't get mad. Don't have temper tantrums. Don't have bar fights. All that kind of crap that people do because they're walking around with a lot of unresolved anger. Be angry, blame it on her, and then move towards forgiveness. Because forgiveness will set you free. And then you will be, that was my mom that hurt me, and it was awful what she did. But I realized that to stay angry my whole life is going to screw up my life, and I didn't want her to have that power over me, so I forgave her. She didn't know me anymore. And now I pray for her, and I wish her well. I'm not saying you're going to feel that way today, but I'm saying those two channels you got to work on, the woundedness and the anger. And let me tell you something else, Joey. If you do not do that and you think you can escape this just by getting away from her and you go gripe about her for the rest of your life, I'm going to promise you something. Every woman that you see, your ability to see her as she really is going to be distorted by your unresolved relationship with your mother. And you are either going to be blind to some girl that you idealize and you fall in love with because of, whatever it is about her that turns you on. And you're going to blind yourself to she may be
a witch on a broom, and you can't see it just because you like the way she flicks her hair or something. Well, it's gonna you if your eye's not clear, as Jesus said, then you can't see clearly. And you talk to people that fell in love with somebody, but they didn't see the warning signs. Well, that's going to happen to you if you don't resolve this thing with your mother. On the other side, and this is maybe even worse, you're going to meet a lot of good women. And women, you listen to this too, because this has happened to you, and I want to help you understand why that guy broke up with you when you're a good woman. You're going to meet a lot of good women, I told him. And you're going to start to get close to them, and they're really good. And all your friends are going, well, why are you being so picky? What's wrong with her? Here's what I said. You know, this is the worst part about this. You're going to meet good women, and you're not going to be able to get to make a commitment, and you're going to run, you're going to bail out, you're going to break up with them because all of a sudden you're going to lose interest, and everything's going to go cold, and you don't know what happened, or oh gosh, I love her, but I'm not in love with her, you know, because you're not done with your mother. Don't let your mother do that to you. When you deal with her and you get the hurt out, you get the anger out, then your eye is going to be clear, so you can see clearly. That's why some people come from crazy backgrounds and they repeat it sometimes. It's awful. It's familiar. They're not healed. They're victims. You know, just can't. Oh, it's terrible. But sometimes if we get all the stuff out of us, then we can see clearly, and you pick better people, and that's part of the growth path. So that's what I told him. So I want you to resolve, and then, you know, back to the real mother. I said, look, after you're done with her and she has no power over you anymore, she can say, a year from now, I want a relationship with you. You say, fine, I want to, but here's the rules. No yelling, no screaming, no manipulating, no blah, blah, blah. If you can do that, Mom, then I would love to have a relationship with you. But see, now talking to Mom doesn't trigger me, right? Because I'm done. I'm done. Make level paths for your feet, the Bible says, one of my favorite verses, so that the joint that is wounded will be healed rather than further injured. Sometimes when people are not healed, they do get triggered, and it's a further injury sometimes. But if you get healed, then the things that triggered you don't have that power anymore. That's the nature of trauma healing. That's our goal. I've treated so many people that used to get triggered by things that were triggering. But you know what? They dealt with them, and the triggers lose their power. I have seen abuse victims who had PTSD. Abuse victims who had PTSD. I have seen them resolve their PTSD and literally go into the field and become counselors for abusers, just like where their father was like, because they developed a strength and they weren't triggered anymore. So I'm not suggesting anybody go get abused. I'm suggesting the opposite. I'm suggesting that you get healed. But my point is, the goal is to get the power away from the abuser so they don't have the power, or symbols of them don't have the power. Now, you don't go back in there, and you don't, I'm not suggesting they go get triggered or go get abused. I'm just saying get healed. Get healed. The goal is for you to be strong again, be restored to what they took away from you. All right. So there you go. I just got a message here that we had lost connection, but we are back. So I don't know who we really lost. Maybe it was the YouTube audience, but we are back. Okay, let's go back to the phones. Lily, calling us from Florida, watches on YouTube, has a question about her parents. Lily, welcome to the Dr. Cloud Show.
Hi, Dr. Cloud.
How are you, Lily?
I'm okay. I was listening to what another caller said, and it made me feel upset, and I wanted to call you. So forgive me if I sound really upset.
There's nothing wrong with being upset. No forgiveness needed. I'm sorry you're feeling that way. Tell me what it is.
Well, I have been struggling with myself for a long time.
How old are you?
And I'm 24.
24. So a long time, like since you were a young girl, a teenager, or?
I would say since I was a young girl.
Young girl, okay. It's a long time. When you're 24, I mean, that's most of your life, it sounds like. It's been hard.
Yeah, I mean, my parents had tough childhoods, and sometimes those situations, sometimes they projected onto me. So when I got to college, I was really afraid to talk about how I felt. And because I didn't have coping skills growing up, it just got a lot scary in my mind, and it was in reality. But I really want to move past how I felt in school and go back to, I mean, not go back, but go forward to being a productive person, being a stable person. And, thank you. I just really want to put the past behind me and understand what it's like to live in forgiveness. That's not really something that I see a lot, especially in my close relationships. So I
You mean in your family? In your family or your friends?
A little bit of both. I figured out that I wasn't attracting the right people.
Amazing how that happens, right?
Yeah.
We sometimes find ourselves, well, I'm going to take the sometimes out of it. And this is going to be part of your healing. If I'm understanding where you're going with this, what you want to do is you want to be past the hurt. And you said you didn't have good coping skills. It's hard to talk to people. And then you want to be attracting a different kind of people, right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, that is fantastic. You haven't given up. You got hope, and you know it can happen, right? You know that you can be healed. You see other people getting healed, and you know this can happen, right? Sounds like that's how you feel.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. You know, when you said you're attracting the wrong kind of people, you know, the way our brains are designed, we get patterned, right? I take my dog out for a walk, or when I used to, when I could walk. You go down the driveway, you get to the end of the driveway, she automatically starts to turn right. Automatically. Why? Because every time I take her out for a walk, I turn right. Okay, that's a pattern. God wired us to have patterns created in our head, and we have patterns of relating. And like I was saying too in the first part of the show, our patterns to relating are also in relation to internal relationships that we still carry with us. So if we had scary people and we haven't gotten healed from the scary people in our life, we tend to have patterns of being afraid and withdraw and not speak up or have to isolate or fight or something, because the whole world still looks scary. We haven't been healed from that yet. But here's the thing. We are drawn to and we relate to the patterns or what is familiar. Does that make sense? Familiar?
Yes.
So why do we get drawn to certain kinds of people that are not good for us sometimes? because that's familiar. It is a pattern. You know, somebody had their head was wired with somebody with high expectations on the other end that they could never please, and they're going to probably be drawn a lot of times to people with high expectations that they can never please, and they're live out a people pleasing pattern forever. Okay, so that's the way it is, right? We do what's familiar. So how do we change it? You don't get rid of familiar, you use familiar. So what does that mean? I want you to get in a place where people relate to you in a good way and where they're very safe and you can open up and you can say, here's what, like I was saying on the beginning of the show, here's how I was hurt. And they say, tell me more. They don't say, well, that was your fault, or you shouldn't be hurt by that, or blah, blah, I'll give you something to cry about. No, they don't do that. They say, that's awful. Tell me more. And then you talk about it. And a couple of things are happening there. You're being healed from the past, but you're also building a new familiar. And see, when we get with a good therapist and a good support group or a good therapy group or something, and that becomes familiar, this is how I'm used to being treated. Then we go out and you meet somebody and they're hurtful. You go, well, that doesn't feel good. And you're not attracted or attracting them anymore because you're saying that doesn't feel good because I know what good feels like now. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does.
So it's not rocket science, it's just work. And so I want you to find a good counselor, and I want you to find a really good group that practices healing ways. And it may be a structured one, like, a good therapy group or something like Celebrate Recovery, or, a psychologist that has a good healing group, or a church that has a good support group led by a good person. Sometimes there's, not so smart people doing that. But where you can, it's true. I wish it weren't, but it's true. And you go get healed with some good people, and that becomes familiar to you, and that's going to get better. And then the third thing I want you to do is this. You mentioned it. You remember what you said? Why you didn't talk to people? Remember what you said?
I was afraid of how they would treat me,
Yeah. Yeah. Because all that's in your head is scary figures, right? That's why we got to find the safe place. But somewhere along the line there, you said that you didn't have good skills, right?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, listen, of course you didn't. Of course you didn't. Where were you going to learn those skills in a dysfunctional family? They weren't there. It's like if I'm a golfer and I grew up in a family, nobody plays golf. How am I going to learn how to play golf? Unless I go down and find a teacher. So it is not your fault that you don't have the skills you need. But here's the good news. Those skills are learnable. So that's going to be another part of your healing where you learn new skills. You learn to open up. You learn to have good boundaries. You learn to say no if somebody's mean to you. You learn to go the other way. You learn to say things, I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't like that. And I'm not going to do it. You learn those skills. And that's the other thing I want you to do.
Okay, I can do that.
You can do it with help, right? Have you got a counselor now?
Oh, I hate to say it, but I got so depressed that I wasn't really functioning anymore. So I left my old job, and I went back to move in with my family. So I don't have that resource anymore. Yeah, I know it's like I shot myself in the foot.
Well, no, I sometimes I get it. I'm not. You're not bad for that. You went the only place you know to go. But are you still living with your family?
Yeah, for this time.
Are they still re-injuring you, or are they just kind of kooky and you stay away from them?
Sometimes they still do hurtful things.
Do you have other people around you, a support system around you apart from your family?
Not really.
Okay,
When
well,
I was
that's,
growing up, I would try to something.
you would what?
I would try to just tell neighbors or friends, but either friends would like distance themselves or
Yeah,
like
they weren't helpful, were they?
but I definitely now it's more just like just saying comments that aren't necessary more so I just
Okay.
have to keep my distance.
Well, here's what I want you to do. If you don't have any outside help, there's no resources or whatever, check out some of the sizable churches around you. You live in a big city?
Yeah, I just joined when I came to my parents. That's what I did do because I was able to do that.
I don't know what town you live in, but if there are, and the reason I say kind of sizable churches, and sometimes small churches, the pastor has time. A lot of times they don't, but sizable churches will have a pastoral counseling department or support groups or something. I want you to go to your church or several of them and ask for the care pastor and go tell them your story and say, I really need help. I'm hurting. I need some counseling or I need a support group or something. And maybe that can be the first step, but you can't probably find this. And I got to go to some other calls, unfortunately. But I'm going to leave you with this. You probably can't just find it on your own. You're depressed. I'd love for you to see a good psychologist or good psychiatrist, and a counselor could probably help arrange that, or just your doctor. Because if you're so depressed that you can't function, you may need some medicine too. So I want you to see get the help you need, but it's not coming from your family, it sounds like. So go find a good pastor. They're great to talk to, or go to your doctor. But get some help and get started and get plugged in somewhere. And then also, I want you to stay on the line because I'm going to give you, I have a webinar called Restoring Our Brokenness. And I'm going to get Albie to get your information so we can give that to you. And also, any of the rest of you, you can find that. It's about close to 3 hours, I think, on healing from the kind of things that she's talking about. You can go to boundaries.me/restore to find that. Okay, so let me see where we are. We probably have time for one more quick call here. Where are we? Trying to find what may not. Sorry, guys. Looking at this here. Let's go to Susan, who's calling us from California. Got a few more minutes, Susan, and I wanted to get to you and want to get to the others. The rest of you call back. But Susan, welcome to the Dr. Cloud Show. How can I help you?
Well, you just make me giggle because I listen to your confusion and it just makes me forget what I'm calling for.
Well, that's good. I healed you. How about that?
No, it's cute. It's cute.
You're fine now.
And I love listening to everyone's story.
Isn't it great just hearing our callers? And if it's
confused
that you need, then you call the right number. You exactly call the right number.
I can relate to every single story. I mean, we all experience these different emotions and hurts and pains and healing. But the reason I'm calling, I recently was let go of my job of 6 years. I was a nanny for 2 children that I've raised 5 days a week. And,
how old are the kids?
The way they're 4 and 6.
4 and 6. So you've been there since day one for this family's total child rearing program.
Oh yeah, I've been mother. I managed their household. I've done everything for this family, and I've been reliable and dependable.
I couldn't hear that last part. What? Your voice dropped.
I've been reliable and dependable and caring and loving, and like they're my own children, of course. And they let me go at short notice. The mother had COVID, so they said, course, they didn't tell me about it, but they just said, don't come and take a week. And then the next week they let me go. But I've gone through so many stages of anger and sadness, and then I get angry, and now I'm grieving, and I haven't seen the kids for 3 weeks. And I mean, I can't stop crying. But then I get angry and like, why did you let me go? And so I need closure. I haven't seen the kids, so I need to confront the mother because she hasn't even.
Have you talked to them at all?
Well, the father is the one that let me go, and he does communicate with me.
And what does he say? What does he say when y'all are communicating?
Well, he said thank you, and you know he's thankful for what I've given to his children, and
that's good. Well, what does he say about
but the mom?
When you say, what does he say when you say I miss the kids? Am I gonna be able to say goodbye to them, or will I ever see them again?
Well,
Have y'all talked about that at all?
He let me do FaceTime a couple times, and that helped a little bit. But then I get upset because I think of the mom not calling me and saying thank you for your dedication and love to my children, and she doesn't really have a mother's heart. She does. I've never been able to communicate with her, but that's hurtful to me.
Hold on a second. You just said something really important. You've never been able to communicate with her, and it sounds like probably because she's non-communicative, right?
Well, yeah, it's just she doesn't have any empathy or emotional. It's like I'm not even her friend, but I raised her children.
Well, that happens a lot. So people outsource sometimes things that they don't feel capable of doing, or don't want to, or whatever. I don't know her, but here's what I do know. I mean, you can talk, you can communicate. The father communicates with you. You're communicating well with me. But what you said is she's never been able to do that.
Right.
Okay. So I want you to listen to yourself here.
Right.
What did you say? She's non-communicative. She has no empathy.
Yeah.
And she won't. So at this point, the closure that you need is probably exactly that. There's your closure.
Right. I know. I do understand that. I think that's what I'm fighting.
That just turns into grief. And you're in a grief cycle.
And that's what, because I feel so disregarded. What did I do for 6 years? I did everything for you, and I'm just gone. Poof.
Yes, you just answered
Susan's
that question.
Gone. Do you not miss me?
No.
That's what hurts.
No, she doesn't.
So
she doesn't. Hang on.
I know.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
She doesn't.
Many people have told me that.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. I love it that there's a part of you says it screams, "Do you not miss me? Do you not appreciate? Do you not? Do you not? Do you not?" Do you know the stages of grief? There's a stage in there called protest.
Right.
And that's what you're doing. You're protesting something that's wrong.
Yeah.
What I don't want to see you do, though, I want you to protest. I want that anger to come out. I just don't want you to stay in protest over something that's not going to change. So protest gives way to sadness, and then you go through the grief, and then you let it go. And that's the sad part about this.
Yeah.
That you're probably never going to get her to wake up and thank you for building a soul inside of these little munchkins that needed somebody consistent and found in you. And that's a big part of what you can take with you. And they're going to return to you.
Yeah.
They're going to return to you.
I just feel like if I say something, I've written about 5 or 6 text messages and erased them.
Well, what do you want? What do you want?
I want her to know how hurt I am. And I don't know. Honestly, I just feel like I need to say something, but I don't want to say it wrong because I don't want to lose my chance of seeing the kids. Or maybe I just need to let it go
maybe
try to
I don't. You can say something and say it well. Say, something like, "Dear Susie, is she still sick? She get over her COVID?"
No, she's fine. She's back to work. Everyone's business as usual without
Well,
me.
that's weird that she didn't bring you back. There's no other conflict between y'all?
It was weird.
But I understand.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. COVID affects people in a lot of different ways. I'm not just talking about biologically. I'm talking about emotionally and psychologically. I've heard people do some incredibly strange reactions, even when they don't have it. And some people that are staying, it's just all over the map how people respond to this.
I know.
So I could see, and I have seen people who get COVID and all of a sudden they do something that maybe doesn't seem like it makes sense to a lot of other people. But if she's over it, I'm kind of surprised if there wasn't any other reason besides COVID. If I've had 6 years of what is the other reason? And I got to go fast here. I'm at the answer.
And I think that's what's in the back of my mind. Yes.
What is it?
Like, what is the real reason? I don't know. They haven't told me.
Have you asked the dad?
No, I haven't had the nerve to ask that yet.
He's the one that's talking to you, and he fired you. So I would start there. I'd say, you know what? Thank you for letting me FaceTime with the kids. I love them. You know how I love them and all this.
Yeah.
And honestly, Joey, this is pretty tough for me because I love those kids. But can you tell me, other than COVID, because COVID's over and I'm not back.
It's an excuse.
Can you tell?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't call it anything. I'd ask a question. It's hard for me just not knowing the other reason why y'all don't want me there. I just it really helped me to know that. So I might start with him. And then after that, depending on how that goes, then, call me back. But I'd start with him. If you want to write to mom, say, you know what, I'm glad you're over COVID. I really love your kids. I'd liked working with them.
Yeah.
I would love to, I'd love to see them. It's been really hard. It's been really hurtful. And if there's any way you can help me understand, then I'd be open to it. So that may be another approach. But I'd start with the dad. At least he's talking to you.
Well,
and I'll tell you this.
I did text him a couple times. He hasn't gotten back, so that's why I think I'm in the little fight or flight mode.
Maybe. And get some good people to talk to. But I will tell you this. So both of my parents worked. I was raised by a couple of nannies.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them passed on back, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago at 106, I think. She lived forever. Wow. But the other one lives on the East Coast, and I live in California. And I just recently was in the Eastern United States, and my wife and I made a special trip, and we went and visited her in Baltimore. And just because she's family. Yeah. She raised me. And I love her, and I always will, and I would do anything for her. And we just had such a great, since she moved out there, I hadn't seen her much. But my point is, it doesn't go away. You live in those kids' souls, and if you put good things in there, those good things will remain. And my hunch is you'll hear from them when they get autonomous enough to find you, if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to run. Thank you for your
Henry.
call. Thank you for your call.
I want to let you know.
Whoops, I lost you. Albie, can you put her back on? Can we find... did I lose her? We'll give it 5 more seconds. Oh, okay. You're back. What you started to say something?
Cloud.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's me.
I know who you are. I've read your book, Boundaries, but I used to work at Park Newport Hair, and I was married to Craig Long. Do you remember him?
No, but I remember
there?
Park Newport Hair. Yeah.
Well, Cherie did your hair, right?
It's been
Yeah, I
30
know.
something years.
I know. That's
But I remember,
that's
I
how
do
long
remember.
ago. But I remember you coming in.
Well, thank you I do remember it being a good place. And even though y'all didn't have much to work with, you did a good job. So thank you for.
Anyway,
Thank you for.
Say thank you.
Well, thank you for your call. That is, boy, that is going back a long time. Park Newport Hair. That's where I used to get my hair cut as a graduate student. How about that? Or actually, as a little after that. Anyway, thank you for your call. Hope it works out. Gosh, there's so much in that call we could talk about. You know, when you put good things into somebody's soul, you may lose touch with them. Those good things remain. One of my favorite verses or passages is Mary and Martha. You know, Jesus goes to their sisters. He goes to their house, and they're going to apparently have some people over for dinner, and it's a gathering. And Martha's getting obsessive and OCD about everything. And, you know, she's getting upset because Mary's just sitting there talking to Jesus, right? And Martha comes back and says, Lord, you don't even care. Make her come help me. She's not helping me. And Jesus turned to Martha and he said, Martha, Martha, you're worried about so many things. He said, Mary's chosen the good part. He said, only a couple things are necessary. He said, really only one, meaning the connection. He said, Mary's chosen the good part. Don't worry about all. Who cares if if the napkins aren't exactly straight? We're having a relationship here. That's what's important. And then he said this phrase, Mary's chosen the good part that won't be taken away from her. And I'll close with this today. Connection is eternal. Eternal. It lives inside. A moment ago when there it goes again. When I was talking about my nanny that I love with all my heart. I feel it inside. And we both get to heaven, it's still going to be there. We'll pick up right where we left off. Because it never goes away. See, love never fails. One of my favorite verses. So whatever connection you have with people, it is eternal. And going back to the beginning of the program, I said that eternal connection is going to be eternal. And it can be one of unforgiveness and bitterness and rage and abandonment and loss of power. Or it can be an eternal connection where I'm healed in my connection with you if you were not good. Because it's going to live on. So we got to manage our connections that live inside. So if somebody's hurt you, get healed and move through the pain and the protest and the anger and all that and get to forgiveness. So you're done because it's going to live there. So is the good stuff. So as we sign off for today, what I want you to remember is to put good stuff in whoever you have the opportunity to, because that's going to be the you that lives inside of them forever. And get good stuff, because whatever you get is going to live inside until you change it. That's how it works. Relationship is the power of the universe. God is love. That's what he says. And love powers everything. And love never fails. Hate what is evil, the Bible says, and love what is good. And do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And that's how we do this. One dynamic at a time. Alrighty, guys, don't forget tomorrow, the webinar
It will be coming on at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Sign up. Go sign up. It's called The Art of Confrontation. Go to boundaries.me/confront. And if you can't attend it live, sign up for the live event. You can stream it afterwards to your heart's content. It'll be available not too long. I think 48 hours after the event, it becomes available for you to stream. Okay, guys, you're the best.